If this thing buries itself out here, we're walking home. For 2 years, this land's been locked behind a season we can't cross. In winter, we take the snowmobile. In summer, we run the river. But when the snow starts melting and the river's frozen, we've got no way in. So we found this Russian track machine. Some people say it'll never make it through Muskeg. Today we find out who's right. So, it's raining. Of course, this is going to be the day. Here we go and test this thing. Gonna be wet. See how it goes. As I was unloading at the side of the road, one of the neighbors came driving up. From a distance, he saw me in the trailer and knew exactly what I was trying to do. "Oh, we better not try and get back there now," he said. Knowing what the conditions were like back in the bush, he just shook his head. He'll never make it. But as he drove past, he caught a glimpse of what was sitting on the trailer. He laughed. "Well, he might make it," he said. Driving this thing around the farm for 15 minutes tells you absolutely nothing about how it's going to handle out here in the bush. I know the first part of the trail is going to be easy. I could definitely get myself down the road and into trouble. The real question is, what happens when this thing hits Muskeg? Does it stay on top, or does it sink right to the bottom? Alright, so I guess I have no bear spray. I'm going in without bear spray again. Is it ever a wet day? Whiz. Driving something like this takes a completely different mindset. Looks like steering a motorcycle, but you're actually steering with brakes on the tracks. To turn, you gotta haul hard on the levers and force the machine around. And with suspension bouncing all over the place, things can get western pretty quick. Up to this point, I've driven it around Rogers Farm. But off-road, it's all about momentum, picking your line and knowing what the machine can handle. One thing I learned fast, if this thing starts bucking and bouncing, you do not let off the throttle. You gotta stay in it and keep the track pulling forward. This is where we finally hit the Muskeg. Now, contrary to popular belief, I didn't just charge blindly into this thing like a complete idiot. A fellow does well to get out, walk the line, poke at the ground with a stick, and determine exactly what patches of earth are real and which ones are merely considering becoming earth someday. This time of the year, with the snow melting and the spring rains coming down, all that water's got nowhere to go. It just sits on the top, which means you already know you're driving into wet business. In summertime, Muskeg's a lot more deceptive. It'll grow a nice thick carpet of grass and moss on top, all while hiding 40 feet of watery peat underneath like some kind of northern Canadian practical joke. And once you drive into it, you're no longer operating machinery, you're negotiating with the swamp. This is where the tractor spent the winter after it broke through the ice the very first year. And ever since then, this stretch of swamp has stood guard over the trail like an old toll gate. For all practical purposes, it's what keeps heavy equipment out of here except for a few short weeks each year when the ground freezes hard enough to bear the weight. Now this contraption may be built like a steel tank, but it's got wide tracks, good clearance, and most importantly low ground pressure, which out here in Muskeg counts a whole lot more than horsepower and optimism. go right down. That's pretty deep right here. That's enough to tip the machine. That pond where the thieves couldn't get the tractor through, that was what was keeping me awake at night. Was this tank going to sink straight to the bottom? Was it going to roll over once the ground started giving way underneath? Or was it just going to keep clawing ahead? One thing I learned over the winter with the Alpine was never haul a bunch of gear in before proving you can actually reach the cabin. You break the trail first, then you come back for the load. But this time I broke my own rule. I loaded this thing up with cameras, computers, tools, fuel, everything. And if I ran into something I couldn't cross, that was going to become a problem. Now, one thing I started learning about driving this contraption is that comfort had very little to do with it. The trick was to look ahead, decide what speed you're willing to survive at, and then commit to it. Because once this thing starts bucking and bouncing like a rodeo bull in a feed sack, the worst thing you can do is panic and start jerking at the throttle. You pick your line, set your speed, hold steady, and let the machine argue with the swamp in its own way. The business end of this beast really is the track system. It sits high off the ground, rides along on 2 rubber tracks, and unlike a lot of track machines, the suspension actually works the terrain instead of just trying to batter its way through it. On hard ground, the weight spreads out across the tracks, but in soft ground, the suspension lets the tracks flex and follow the shape of the swamp instead of trying to bridge over top of it. And surprisingly, despite occasionally rocking back and forth like an old canoe in rough water, it's actually a much smoother ride than the Argo. No herniated disc feature on this puppy. The first 2 bogey wheels even have dampers built into the springs, so calm down the bouncing before the whole machine starts trying to launch you into the next postal code. Oh man. Now this I wasn't expecting. Coming through here in winter with the Alpine is one thing. Once everything freezes solid, you just ride over top and never think about it. But I'd never seen water sitting here before. There used to be a beaver dam off to the right, and somehow now it's off to the left. But standing here now, looking at open water where there used to be trail, I honestly didn't know what to do. The swamp was one thing, but this whole country had started rearranging itself. Even when you drive across that in the summertime, there's logs down below that keep it up. Probably 4 or 5 feet off the bottom. Hey, you got me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, okay. So I'm deep in the bush. Hey, is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. I tried calling you back and it wouldn't go through.
Yeah, I was in the low part of the valley there. The creek on the trail going in is really high.
It's dry.
High.
Okay.
No, the creek is high.
Yeah.
High.
High.
Like, it's over my head for sure. The only way I'll be able to cross it is if I had a strap on the other side
Pull yourself.
and put the winch on and float it out. I got all the gear with me and cameras and laptops and stuff, and I just don't want to...
Yep.
I don't want to test the water like this. Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I just heard the creek was high and you had to have a wind. Gee, like you're talking about the creek going in.
Yeah.
That's a bit much then to try.
Again, I prefer to try and do it when I don't have the gear all with me. I just have to leave because there's not much I can do right now.
Yeah. No,
Like, I got the laptop and stuff with me. Like, if it dumps or it gets wet, I'd be very upset.
that's way more important than
Go back to the hotel and see if I can come up with another plan.
yeah.
Ugh, not good. I don't know what to do. I need a way to get across that creek. That is not good. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea to be hitting those puddles because they're frickin' just holes. They're not even puddles, they're just deep holes. Rope, paddle, life jacket. She's doing a lot of work and kind of sipping the fuel, so that's good. Probably about the same as the Alpine, maybe less, I don't know. I gotta make sure that I have some warm clothes in case I get wet. I've never tested this thing in water. We're gonna put it in water. It's risky. The shaft seals could leak. Plug in the floor here that's supposed to, for draining the water, but that's where the water could come in. You know, I don't know if it's gonna seal. if the thing goes in at the wrong angle, it could just take in water. It's pretty steep there. And then once it's in the water, it doesn't really swim. And then I have to kind of get it out somehow on the other side. I got a paddle here. I need to tie up some ropes. I don't know if I can jump out if things go wrong. Like if I climb over the side, will it tip? Like, will it get wet? I brought some dry clothes in case that happens. There's just a lot of things that could go wrong when you're out here. This machine's got a full roll cage, which means if you're running it properly, you wear a seatbelt. Because if this thing decides to roll over out here, the last place you want to be is halfway outside the cab getting flattened in the swamp like a misplaced fence post. So you strap yourself in tight. And if she ever does decide to go shiny side down, you just do the old loop-to-loop and hope to survive long enough to complain about it later. Out here, there really isn't much of a trail anymore. You just look ahead, decide which patch of ground appears least likely to betray you, and point the machine in that direction. The main thing you gotta watch for are those big clumps of tag alders. If one track climbs over the middle of one, the whole machine starts leaning sideways like a fishing boat full of unpaid decisions. But otherwise, you just keep easing ahead. And with the cab on this thing, you're not getting whipped in the face by branches every 30 seconds, showered in pollen, or eaten alive by mosquitoes, black flies, horse flies, deer flies, and every other flying blood sampling agency operating in northern Ontario. By the second day of running this thing, I was finally starting to settle into it. Slow and steady really does win the race out here. You don't need to go tearing through the bush like you're filming a caffeinated snowmobile commercial. You just keep things smooth, steady, and predictable. Especially because someday I want Becca to come here and enjoy this tank as much as I do. And once you get used to the rocking and pitching and all the strange motions, realize it's just the way the machine walks through the rough country. After a while, it honestly starts riding pretty smooth. Now, if you buy a machine like this with plans to use it for access, one of the first things you learn is trail hygiene. That means you don't keep driving the exact same line over and over again. You move around a little, one pass to the left, next pass to the right. Give the ground a chance to recover before you pound it into soup. Because once you start repeatedly hammering the same rut, the mud gets pushed aside, the hole gets deeper, and before long you've built yourself a trench instead of a trail. Same thing with water crossings. You pick the throttle setting you think the machine needs, hold steady and let the tracks do the work. Don't creep in slow and then suddenly pin the throttle throwing mud halfway into the next township. That's the fastest way to destroy a trail so badly that eventually nothing can get through it. If someone wants to sit in a flooded gravel pit on tractor tires making rooster tails for TikTok, that's their business. But out here, a respectable machine is supposed to get you where you're going, without turning the trail into a reconstruction project. The old timers understood that. You leave the country in good enough shape, you can still come back through it next season. That was a nice ride. It was pretty cool. Just felt comfortable in my own little room, driving all the way in. A few dicey moments, but I missed a log down here, and so that is definitely above my waiter. Ooh. So there's logs in here. went down. There's lots of trip hazards here. You just gotta step over the hole. I had a plan before, which was like string a rope across. But I'm not sure that's needed. Just don't know how that thing's gonna handle in the water. Like it doesn't drive. You want to think of silly things like maybe stand outside and drive it in so you don't have to worry about hopping out of it while it's in the water. But that could be a death sentence. You could get trapped under the machine. You just gotta commit. You gotta drive it in, you gotta commit. I stood out here in the wintertime. I didn't know it was a dam. I wanted to take the Alpine up this way to get to our land, but there was too much open water. Got the snow coming down. My three biggest worries, essentially, that we swamped this machine. Going in at quite an angle, it's possible that water could come into it. It's not perfectly level. It could be that it tips a little bit. It could be that it starts taking on water. Shouldn't be too bad though. It's not deep enough that if it fills up with water, it's gonna be impossible to get out back onto the shore. The trick to remote off-grid living has always been solving the access problem. Wintertime, you haul over frozen ground by sled, and summer you come up the river by boat. But now that we finally had ourselves a little cabin in the bush, we needed a way to simply get people in there, regardless of whether the swamp approved or not. So when we found a tracked Argo for sale on Marketplace, Roger, Becca, and I headed out on a Saturday to take a look. Because if a fellow needs a track machine and his bank account still intends to survive the experience, an Argo with tracks is usually where the conversation starts. Now, I know Roger pretty well, and I could read the look on his face. He wasn't exactly falling in love with this Argo. It felt small, a little rough around the edges, and we weren't really looking for another machine that needed a full winter of persuasive language and replacement parts. But while we were standing there, I noticed a strange-looking contraption parked in the back corner of the garage. So I asked Randy, what's the story with that thing? And Randy starts laughing. Turns out I'd already messaged him about it on Facebook weeks earlier. Now that caught us by surprise, because when I first showed Roger the ad for the Russian tank, he said that's a head turner. But instead, here we were, driving out to look at an Argo. And wouldn't you know it, turns out we hadn't actually come there for the Argo after all.
Well, actually with that and the thing, I thought it was pretty good.
But who's to say with them?
So first and reverse about the same?
Wire disconnected out.
Like tearing the line up. He was like, yeah, I believe you called me about that too. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't realize it's the
we
same
didn't
guy.
realize that either. So Becca, that's why I wanted you to climb in and out. Well, you know what? There's actually a step and a handle compared to the Argo. The Argo, you gotta kind of swing your legs over and stuff anyway.
For channel, it's definitely good.
Yes.
Does it give us easy access to the
Well,
land?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think way better.
Require winch.
Everything could
Yeah.
require a winch. That's why it has a winch. It's got a winch, yeah.
It's got winch on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it looked good.
For the first time, it felt like we found a machine that actually belonged in the swamp. So we spent a couple days getting beans counted up. And then I came back to bring home our new access machine. Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Trevor.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
That it was crazy, man. It worked. Yeah. Like, no, it just drove. Like, it was not touching very much. I could feel it just like hitting little things. Like, the water's higher. I have to hop out, but it felt stable. I don't know. Like, I'm getting used to this thing. It's growing on me. Once I was across the creek, my thoughts naturally turned to the cabin, because I was wondering what the bears had done to it while I was away. Had they gotten inside? Had they chewed through the fuel cans? Had they converted the place into some sort of woodland recreation center? I was about to find out. That's a bear. A bear did that to the sign. So a bear did that. And I'll tell you, as soon as I got over the creek, my mind immediately set thinking about, are the fuel containers good? Did it break into the cabin? And will I be able to get over that little creek on our property? That's the next thing. But Wow. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, look at that. This is never gonna get this bad again. No, we have access, so keep this place clean and tidy. But the fuel cans look good. Doesn't look like it's been any entry. Roofing metal, generators covered, ATV. Oh, yeah, so the bear chewed my expensive copper 10 gauge. Is totally, I think this is chewing. Yeah, when the water is coming out of the bottles, but the top's not off, that means the bear was just coming through. It's a minor thing. This cable kind of pisses me off more. I can patch that, I got enough, but that means that battery's not being charged. Anyways, a lot of spring cleanup to do, but it feels like this is the beginning of the new season. This is the official beginning of Off-Grid Engineering 2026. It's a good thing I didn't leave the Starlink out, because that bloody bear would have ripped that cord. I'm gonna unload some stuff. I'll go back to the van and grab the rest of this stuff. See if I can make it in and out. Pretty stoked. Hey Roger, I just drove right in. Creek. Yeah, I got like a boat paddle. I used that to test the ground and I was able to walk right across. There was a spot where a log is missing, so it drops down. With the paddle, I could feel that, you know, so when I was crossing the water, I just kind of jumped across that hole and I could continue to walk, and I went right across. It was just like I was able to drive right through. It was just, you could feel it touching stuff underneath.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Huh?
I got a full load now. Yeah. Yeah, I got across the creek. I drove right across.
Ah,
Drove right across. Yeah.
okay.
I
That's
think you're gonna
okay.
I think you're gonna like this. I'm liking it. I'm really liking it. And I think you're gonna like it for you to come up here and you can take the back seat.
Yeah.
And I think you're just gonna like it's amazing.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Two trips in. Learning a lot about this thing. Let's go take a look at the see how the dock's still there. I got to clean this place up. Whole season of work, spring cleaning. I think there's people would like me to make this trail a little wider this year. There's this massive stump that I've had to drive around. This trail served us well. The grouse are doing their like mating thing of like beating their wings. Pop, 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 pop. Maybe you can hear it. Yep. Moose is here. You can see water is flowing along and then oh, the beaver's been in here. Look at, he's taken all these trees. Ho, ho, ho! What have we got here? Ha, ha, ha! Yes! That is so awesome. Ah. The river is like really high. It's snapped, like it's totally like come apart. Screws are broken. And okay, that's all right. We're not starting from zero though. That's great news. I'm super happy about that. Standing on my dock. It was worth the time. It's gonna be another great year. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We do some spring cleaning. Springtime. We're starting over again. This is 2026. 2025, the winter of 2025 is behind us. And that's what we're going with the Persian calendar because it just makes more sense. The winter is the end of the year and spring is the rebirth. It's a sight for sore eyes. $7:30. Just have it a little warm in here. It's cold outside. Weird banging noise in the cabin. There's a wolf right there. I heard something out here. That was the first time that I've seen some wildlife in the clearing. It's cold. The pond is frozen over. You can hear even from in the cabin, I can hear the dam draining. Yeah, time to make some breakfast. It's a bit chilly out here, but it's nice in the cabin. Cabin really keeps the heat in. Snowing again. When if I'm in the cabin, I can hear it ticking on the roof. These are good stickers. better than rain. They turned water bottles into chew toys. Like a little kid's chair. It's alright though. It's gonna do. But I'll just save some fun for another day. Yeah, I gotta get in there, and it's very swampy over there. For the dimension-minded, these take them one at a time. No sense in overloading the machine. tractor down here now. Tend to this chain issue. Popped off. Okay. Click this video if you're not quite ready to leave the bush yet. There's always another machine to fix, another trail to cut, another questionable decision waiting just a little farther north. We'll see you over there.